Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today I would like to talk about the Trump family 2024 general overview. But this is the extension of the previous video. This is a video that is based on the same theme of the matter, but it is being arranged in a Zodiac order, which is from the first house to the 12th house. So each card is representing one house among the 12 houses in the zodiac system. So each card is corresponding to one of the zodiac signs, and each zodiac sign represents a particular area of life. So don't need to worry if you don't know about the houses of zodiacs. I will explain it. So first of all, we start with the devil, because the devil, it represents the first house, and in this case, the first house is about our physical appearance, our physical expression towards the outer world. So it is also about the self-image, like how we present outwardly. In this case, the devil means, from the public point of view, there are restrictions and limitations that this family is dealing with and needs to deal with, especially in the year of 2024. The devil, in the positive side, the devil, well, many people, they usually see it as negative, but it does have the positive side. The positive side of devil is it can be very creative energy, but it is an energy that has to be aligned in order to be productive, especially in pursuing their aspirations and their goals in general. So usually, devil can align with the negative side of things, such as addiction, restrictions, and not really want to deal with some kind of patterns in their lives. So it is the house of Aries, because the first house is ruled by Aries, which is about taking initiatives. So the devil energy can also mean that the Trump family is trying to cut through the obstacles that are lingering to the family in a very toxic pattern. So they want to end the cycle of toxicity, and they are taking actions towards it. Probably they are not satisfied with how their family is doing in various matters, especially for the public image. They want to improve it somehow. So that's why they have the intention to make some kind of changes. But it's not easy, because there are matters that make them feel like they are being trapped, that they are being perceived in one particular, probably negative way, but indeed they have intentions to actually to change it. They don't want the public always perceive them as one particular way, or maybe one particular negative way. So they want to take action to change it, and to change some kind of approach. The second house, in this case, in this spread, is represented by the Death card. So Death card is ruled by Scorpio, and when it is opposing the chariot card in this spread, the chariot card is actually in the eighth house in this spread. Eighth house is ruled by Scorpio, um, and it is about regeneration, mutual finances. And the second house is ruled by Taurus, which is about the values, the possessions that they have. And because the death card is actually ruled by Scorpio and then is being placed in the opposite house of eighth house, in this case the second house, then there is a correlation, strong correlation between mutual finances, debts, and also the money they own actually. So there is a focus on actually sorting out finances, as we already know from the news, that they are trying to, generate more cash flow because of, the things that they are pursuing. They want to keep a healthy cash flow, not even, I mean, actually more than healthy, right? They want a good cash flow in order to do what they want to do. But the death card means transformation, endings. Um, Sometimes it can mean devastative situation. Um, in this case, I intuitively think that in their own possession, their own values, their own money, it is overcoming a transformation, which is which can be pretty difficult. As you can see, the death card is about ending. It can be very painful. But the luck, they do have it in the eighth house. And right now I have to talk about the chariot card because I have to come back to this spread, which is the earliest spread that I did for them. And the first card in this spread is also the chariot. Remember that I mentioned that this card can mean they are rallying throughout the states. This can mean journey. But then I can also think about it as the eighth house matter. Because when I align that with the, the current spread, the more in-depth spread, it is in the eighth house. Eighth house, because it is ruled by Scorpio, it is about mutual finances, something hidden that we don't know. So it's likely that they are dealing with the cash flow from other sources other than their own income. And those money from the other places, from other people, they can be kind of unclear about where they come from. But no matter what, they come in. So it's here. Money from the outside, it's here, and it's not totally clear where they come from, but they are here and can be a good thing. But remember that I said for the previous spread, the expectation is to stabilize the finances. And because the Four of Pentacles is after the Chariot card, so I feel like there are mutual finances, the decisions about these kind of matters that are meant to stabilize the financial situation, they actually come in later than expected. So I don't know whether it is because of the red tapes or the procedures or the legalities of things. It just takes time to come forward. It can also mean that a lot of effort for the Trump family is pouring into financial matters this year. So this is one of the main focus for their family, because they are overcoming a transformation in regards to their own assets, which is represented by the death card in this spread. So whenever a transformation is happening, we personally need to put in the most effort into the matter so that we can actually survive and transform and rise above. The second house is also about the physical body. So I think some of the family members within the Trump family, they might experience some health issues. I will explain why, because there's another house that is directly aligned with the health matters, and I will explain later. So the third house is about communication, is ruled by Gemini. Five of Cups is about sadness, about the sentiments, about the regrets, disappointments. So I think in their approach in communication this year, they will focus on addressing the public sentiments about the society and about the worldly events. They are very aligned with the sentiments and the sadness of the collective somehow, because they personally feel the heat. They personally feel the heat because of their own circumstances. We might think that, oh, they're in such a higher position than ordinary citizens, but they have things that they are dealing with which are very difficult, and it is one of the low points in life, so that they share the collective sentiments somehow, because they have their losses. The upside of the Five of Cups is that they can be more emotionally aligned, or actually in touch with some people who are struggling, because Five of Cups gives the power of emotional sensation, and also emotional capacity to understand that when people are being treated unfairly, how would they feel? When people feel like they are overcoming personal transformation, such as going into bankruptcy, how will that feel? For that, they are very aligned with those people this year because of their own circumstances. I'm not saying that exactly that they will go through specific situation with finances, but because of the obstacles that they are going through right now, that aligns them with the collective somehow, with certain groups of people who are in the disadvantaged position. The downside is, being sad about things, being disappointed, depressed. Everything has the upside and the downside. So I'll try my best to bring out both sides in this reading. Okay, and then we go forward with the fourth house, which is represented by the star card in this case. The star card is about renewal, is about harmony, is about the restructure after the destruction, after the tower moment, when things being destructed And then here comes the harmony. So fourth house, when it is being ruled by Cancer. So Cancer is a feminine sign, which rules femininity, female energy, and also you know securing homeland and family life. And I believe that in this year, amid all the obstacles that the Trump family is facing right now, they will feel and reach a renewed sense of family harmony somehow, in some ways. So, this is a really good thing because when I believe that for many of us, we have been through a lot of obstacles in our lives. And we also understand the fact that sometimes we need to rebuild and reinvent our lives after some kind of catastrophic moments, right? And when we have reached the stage of recovery, we do feel like a renewal sense of internal peace. So even though in the previous spread I see that there are conflicts among family members because of the differences in opinions, and they are individuals who have different directions, regardless of how they want to act in the same direction within a group. They are still people with freedom. So it is normal for everyone to actually sometimes be argumentative towards each other. The good thing is, I believe that they will reach harmony after all kinds of discussions or brainstorming, even maybe conflicts. They will reach a renewed sense of harmony among family members. So the hardships, if you understand hardships, it can also be a double-sided sword, right? Uh, on one end, it makes us feel painful. On the other end, it cuts through obstacles. But it just goes both ways. So in this case, I believe that the financial problems and the problems about their public images that they would like to improve, all of the struggles and obstructions that they experience will bring them into harmony somehow among the Trump family members, because in the process they will find somehow harmony is being achieved. And because sometimes I don't know if everybody will understand. Sometimes when everything is really good, is doing really well, everybody can be just hunky dory and feeling all good. But in this case, I believe that the sadness and also the obstacles actually awaken the true sense of love and harmony among the Trump family members, which is definitely a good thing, because the majority of us, we need love to move forward, right? And if love is among family members, that is a very strong power indeed. So then we move forward to the fifth house. The fifth card, which is the King of Swords. And the fifth house is ruled by Leo. Leo is the sign of kingship. Um, it is also about creativity, kids, younger generations, and the passion. So in this case, when King of Swords is here, um, in regards of their creativity and the things they love, they want to pursue as a family, they will use a very scientific approach to reach the goals. They will not be showing a lot of passion about their creativity. So if they want to reach such a goal, they will opt for the logical way to deal with it, to manifest it. So in this case, I don't think there will be a lot of out of ordinary creativity that will be presented by this family this year. Not like before, right? In the past, I remember there were several times that I think, well, I mean, I was amazed or I was kind of surprised by some of their ideas. Um, Whether good or not, I can think of a phrase which is out of ordinary sometimes. But this year, the approach changed into a more traditional, logical approach that they believe that it is scientifically viable to pursue what they want to pursue. So I don't think there will be anything out of ordinary. So um, the King of Swords, the good side is uh, it it aligns with the people who are very scientific, who are logical, who believe logical mind and the set of values which are being logical. The downside is we as humans sometimes we in some cases even though you may say, well, I have religion, maybe I have my own set of values, it shouldn't be crossed by other boundaries because I trust my beliefs and so and so. But there are situations sometimes that we are being pushed towards our boundaries or even breaking our boundaries in order to actually accept the things that are coming forward. For example, drugs, medications, medications that were not being accepted many generations or decades ago. Somehow they became widely available for some reasons because people find the value to make them available for the patients. And that's about the evolution of humanity and civilization, which is about sometimes shedding the skin. But for the King of Swords, it has the ability to shed the skin, but it remains intact with a very scientific approach. So something out of ordinary, something unorthodox, will not be considered by this King of Swords unless it is proven to be accurate according to their beliefs. So I think, but but there is an upside. Being scientific sometimes requires a lot of capacity to be scientific. If we are talking about traditional values or purely traditional values, we're not going to see King of Swords in this position. We're going to see the Hierophant. And if the Hierophant in this position, in fifth house position, it can be quite traditional somehow. Um, so what I want to say and explain the King of Swords is, in generally, uh, the main focus is to carry out the creative pursuits and their projects in a very scientific way. Um, they will do a lot of research that they feel like is proved to be logical and scientific, and also logically appealing to the audience. Like it makes sense. So this will be their approach this year for their creative pursuits. Um, so whenever the tides change in regards to certain matters, they will definitely use the logical approach. Like if at this moment it is no longer logical to support something, then they're gonna modify it, because scientific, it has a set of rules, but it is also lacking in some kind of emotions, you know. Um, so I think in this case, people who are scientific oriented, they will find the Trump family in some case fascinating, because that is totally scientifically aligned and appropriate to act in this way. So I personally think, even though I don't have a personal uh, preference politically, but I do believe that the upside can be, they will use a very neutralized, or relatively neutralized, scientifically approved way to express their ideas. You know, with some kind of collective sentiments as represented in the third house, the Five of Cups. So, yeah. So after that, let us talk about the sixth house. Sixth house originally is ruled by Virgo, which is about the structure, about principles, about work and health. When a moon card, which is ruled by the zodiac Cancer, is being placed in the house of sixth house of health and work, and also the star card. Actually, I forgot to mention the star card, which is in this spread in the fourth house, is about health and healing and recovery. So I can believe that maybe we don't know, but some people among the family members, they are actually coping with health matters, health situation. The good thing is the star card is actually ruled by the sign Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is the ruling planet is Jupiter, which rules luck and expansion, and also can rule healers. The good side is some of the family members, or maybe one particular, they probably will experience some kind of health issues. The good side is they can get a good healer, but the downside is Jupiter, when it is ruling the star card, it can mean expansion. So expansion in the good side, it can be, let's say, because the sixth house is aligned with the moon sign right now, and in this spread, So it's related to the Cancerian energy, which rules femininity and also motherhood. It can be somebody who is getting pregnant, and because it's related to somehow these two cards, the dynamic is ruled, well, it's aligned with the sign, well, the planet Jupiter. So I can think about two things. It's possible that there will be new family members within the Trump family because of the nature of Jupiter expansion, which is represented by the star card. On the other hand, the negative side is possible that there might be family members who has to have some kind of surgical removal of some kind of extra tissue. Because when we talk about Jupiter, the expansion, it can mean both good and bad. So I think it's possible that they will closely align with the medical field and medical specialists in some extent. And also, the moon card is about nurturing. So, among the Trump family members, they might have a renewed sense of, the awareness of physical and mental well-being. The importance of health. Amid all the situations that they are dealing with, they are starting to recognize health matters. Health is important. But when the moon card is in the sixth house position, we have to think about the moon phase. The moon phase, it is changing every night and day. So we get the full moon, new moon, lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, those kind of stuff. So lunation plays a huge role in the Trump's family members' health in this year. And the moon card is also kind of fluctuating. It's kind of unpredictable because they change. Every month they change, even weeks they just change. So I think in the health sector, it's necessary for them to be careful and to be tend to their emotions because mental health is aligned with physical well-being. And if the mental state is not stabilized, then the physical state, it aligns with the instability. So in some ways, they will figure out a way to actually live a balanced life because there is a need to stabilize the emotions in order to be healthy, especially for the Trump family this year. And also the moon card can also mean they are aligned with their intuition in regards to health. The good thing is they probably know when something goes wrong. They know about it, and then they can take the action to see a doctor. When it is opposing the Nine of Pentacles of the 12th house, the 12th house, it is about endings, about loss, about endings. Nine of Pentacles is about financial security. When it is opposing the Moon card, that means the financial situations that they are dealing with, especially financial security that they are dealing with, actually affect their health and their emotions, interchangeably interact with how they sleep at night, probably even they when they're sleeping they worry about the finances, um, financial situations, and that actually correlates to the instability of the health. So this is something that they have to be very careful about, is to acknowledge the fact that even though finances are very important, it shouldn't be affecting physical health, because it goes both ways. We can always change the approach, like when we're being when we have a low self-esteem, we are unable to make the money we want to make. On the other hand, we can increase our self-esteem, which is about the second house matter that aligns with money matters, the money we earn, so that we can improve the financial situation. And in this case, I think there is a need for them to acknowledge the fact that even though the finances are not as expected as they want to be, there's especially a need to keep healthy, so that they can bounce back from the financial complications. So when they feel like they're physically capable, then the financial situation will be able to be stabilized somehow. Okay, so now the hangman is in the seventh house position. Seventh house, it is ruled by the planet Venus and also ruled by the sign Libra. So Libra and Venus, they're about harmony, about collaboration among people, also one-on-one relationship. So in this case, Hangman is a card of sacrifice, also procrastination, old patterns. Sometimes when Hangman appears, we are being forced to look at things in a new perspective because the old does not carry through. So we have to change our approach and our perspective towards things. In this case, I believe that there is a major companion or partnership in between the Trump family with the other family, or maybe some other prominent figures in the business industry or maybe political arena. They are not gonna get through this year, and they have to accept it and use a new perspective to deal with some kind of relationships that they have to deal with personally, or among Trump family is a prominent family in the U.S. Maybe they have to deal with the other prominent family in the U.S. At the same time, there might be an alliance or maybe a long-term relationship that is coming to. I can't. I can't say it's coming to an end, but a new perspective is essential, because when it is opposing the first house where the devil is, that means there will be a major alliance, probably will under pressure this year because of the restriction and addictive nature of the devil card itself. One way or the other, one of the party among the relationship, let's say Trump family is dealing with the other family, or some form of alliance, a long-term alliance, they just couldn't stand it because they couldn't stand the change. It can be from both sides. It just feel like, okay, we are using this new approach to to deal with what we want to deal with right now, and you are no longer aligned with our newfound identity, or maybe the identity we would like to cling on and to preserve because of what we believe in. And in this case, they will part ways because of the difference in ideology. The good side of Hangman is about releasing the old patterns. Even though it is painful and somehow we can sometimes feel like it is a sacrifice some sort, but without this sacrifice, we cannot morph into our new self, right? An improved version of ourselves. So this is the upside, is about the evolution. The downside is Hangman. Sometimes it can mean the decrease. When it is in the seventh house, it can mean the decrease of alliances and the partnerships. So I think one of the major things that the Trump family has to deal with this year is about how to establish and improve their image, which they are always trying to improve because they are in this political arena, and it deals with the public, and it deals with personal expression, dealing with the others, and I see that they have their beliefs that they want to preserve, but at the same time they are opting for a more scientific way to deal with it. But at the same time, because they have some kind of deep-seated beliefs that they would like to keep them alive. However, because of wanting to be very scientific about things, that can be somehow not really aligned with people who are very passionate. Because when the first house is the devil, which is very closely linked to emotions, and the fifth house of expression and creativity is about being logical, sometimes even being cold. So I can already see there is a conflict between that two elements, because when we are talking about creativity, we usually want that to be passionate. But if it's about scientific approach, then it's kind of, well, when if you're talking about being a scientist, perfectly fine. But when the devil is in the first house, it means there are emotional elements that this family or the people among them are trying to cultivate in order to shape the persona, so they can deal with the public in that particular way. And for the devil itself, is very closely linked to the emotions of people, of what they believe to be true, what they would like to adhere to because of their passions and their personal beliefs. But when the King of Swords appear, what will happen is they will try to put in some very scientific approach or elements in their speech. So for because of the devil energy, so there will always be a constantly, in one way they are still very passionate about what they believe in, but on the other hand, they keep putting very scientific approach to their way of expressing themselves and to deliver the message. So sometimes the passions and the scientific side, there will be a tug of war between them, and it can be difficult for people to follow in this case. Like, for passionate people, because sometimes, there are a lot of people on this planet. They operate in different frequency, but in general, there are people who operate in a black and white frequency, Like they either be very passionate about it, and when they feel passionate about it, they would like to sacrifice the other stuff to be, to preserve the most important thing, right? We know there are a lot of people who are like that. But there are also the other group who are the scientific group that are very aligned with scientific approach. When these two energy come together, most likely there are efforts needed to be made in order to make them be harmonious with each other. And in this case, I can see the difficulty is because there is a tug of war in the approach of how they express their creativity. On one way, they are passionate, and on the other way, they are very scientific. So the audience actually has to adapt to their, the fluctuation between being passionate, adhering to the traditions and beliefs, and the other hand, being scientific. So some people definitely will find it difficult to follow. Like one moment you want us to be passionate about that, and the other moment you're telling us that, well, this is not scientific enough to believe in, so we ought to change. Um, and in this case, it can be difficult for some people. And I strongly feel like because of these two elements that are difficult to be aligned, these can actually affect the alliances. Because you know, for alliances to be stable and to be able to flourish, they have to feel the sense of security. Like they feel like, okay, you're not gonna go from A to B, right? You're not going from passionate to scientific and go in between, right? You know, when we are talking about ordinary people, that's different. Because ordinary people, they can have their passionate side for certain things and a scientific side in their creativity to carry out, um, you know, the things that they like to do. But when we're talking about public figures like the Trump family, that became an important thing to be mentioned because they are dealing with a lot of people. Is people from the world stage. And these sort of conflicting um, elements in between passionate and scientific can really be, um, I would say it is something that I believe that it is very crucial to be mentioned. I don't know how it will turn out, but I think there are many people, especially who are partnered with the Trump family before, who were partnered before, that they will feel like there is a need to change the direction because of the, the tug of war between passionate and scientific. Okay. So, and then I'd like to talk about the eighth house. The eighth house, well, I actually already mentioned some of it. It is about mutual finances, big bankings, the banking institutions, taxes. When the chariot is here, it means they have to make decisions to deal with situations about mutual finances. That takes up a lot of energies. Um, and also, for some reason, eighth house is about hidden matters. So we as the public, we're not gonna know too much about it, even though we feel like it's in the news, but definitely isn't a lot of it is not gonna be disclosed because being in the eighth house and also um, their present state of mind is concerning about the eighth house matter. So I feel like they put in a lot of energies in regards to the money matters among the family members this year. So yeah, chariot can also mean foreign lands. So there might be foreign links about money that comes into the picture, and that they have to address the matter to the authorities, blah blah blah. So it will continue to be a focus for the family this year. Okay, so we can talk about the ninth house right now. Ninth house is ordinarily ruled by the planet Jupiter, which is ruled by Sagittarius. It is usually about higher learning, higher court legalities, and also foreign lands. So in this case, the Trump family, their ideology can somehow link to foreign lands and what is happening on the foreign level. And they're emotionally aligned with worldly events. They are very aware of what's happening on the world stage. And in some ways, they have opinions about them. And they feel like they have to say something, speak something, and, be participating in the conversation, definitely. Ace of Cups also means the flow of emotions and also new love. So among the Trump family members, they might, maybe not everyone, but in general, they will be enlightened in some ways on a spiritual level. Not necessarily on a religious level, because I don't know about their religion. I know they're Christians, but are they all Christians? I don't know. But there will be a focus on religious practices, and also higher learning, and the love of pursuing the higher mind. Sometimes it can also mean something that is out of our reach, because ideology can be very vague sometimes, but they are emotionally aligned with higher learning ideologies and religions this year. Probably because of the sadness and the disappointments that they experience among family members, that can actually renew their sense of spirituality and faith, because being triggered by some kind of disappointments. But this can also interchangeable, because when we are talking about opposing houses like the ninth house and the third house, the energies, they can sometimes interchange because of the third house matter, regards to communication, sadness, disappointments. Then they turn to higher knowledge, higher beliefs. But does it mean the sadness will be eliminated because of the higher beliefs, because of the Ace of Cups? Not necessarily, but it can perceived as a trigger, because of the sadness, it sort of correlates with a newfound emotional flow in regards to religion, religious pursuits, and also higher learning, spirituality. Um, and in some sense, sometimes when people lost a lot of money and possessions, sometimes they will turn to higher knowledge to cope with the situation. In this case, it is possible. Um, and then we talk about the 10th house. The 10th house is ruled by Capricorn. Capricorn is the ruler planet is the Saturn. So it's about structure. It is about, you know, to consolidate, to solidify things, and also being responsible. So for the Trump family this year, Queen of Pentacles in this position means they need to solidify their financial situation so that their kingdom is safe. And at the same time, Queen of Pentacles, it is a person who values her own freedom within her own boundaries. So in this case, she doesn't care too much about the outer world as far as she has everything she needs. So, um, in this case, when this card appears on the 10th house, 10th house is also about government power, authorities. When Queen of Pentacles is in this position, the good side is they will awaken the sense among the collective that we need to be, let's say, we need to make things in America because we need to be self-sufficient. This is one of the qualities of Queen of Pentacles, that is to be self-sufficient, is to have the necessities we need to be manufactured within this country. Then that is the pursuit of Queen of Pentacles, so that we can feel secure. We don't need to be worried about compromising our integrity or values to fit into other countries' needs or expectations in order to to get what we need. So this is the upside. The downside is, government is not always about just having, our own boundaries. Because on a worldly stage, there are alignments that are necessary among nations. So the downside can be too protective towards self-sufficiency. So that might be a downside for this card in the position of the 10th house. Because also in the 10th house, it is more desirable to see a major arcana because it's about the power. When it is a minor arcana, it doesn't hold the same strength and power as a major arcana. So that is something that what I can say concern. So I would say being self-protective and self-reliant is crucial. But at the same time, I believe that the Trump family this year, they won't give out a vibe that is very collaborative with the outside world. So this is how their image in general will be presented on a worldly stage. Combining with the devil card, to be honest, some of the outside world or maybe foreigners will feel like, oh, they are too much about themselves and just being wanting to be self-protective and probably doesn't want to do too much with the outer world. Some kind of vibes that can happen because of the devil energy, the Queen of Pentacles energy, and the Hangman in the partnership sector. It is about wanting to solidify the self, but not compromising the self integrity to align with the others. So partnership can be a problem in this case. And then the 11th house, which is represented by the Queen of Wands in this case. Queen of Wands, first of all, the 11th house is about the future vision, about the collective. Queen of Wands, because it is a wand card, the wand represents the fire energy, passion, and Queen of Wands, it carries a protective element. Sometimes it is a pregnant woman. So in this case, the Trump family, they do have the vision. They want to nurture something for the future, and they do have the passion to do it. Since it is the house ruled by Aquarius, Aquarius is about innovations, and I do believe that they have some kind of very scientific thing, maybe not a lot of scientific innovations in their pursuits, but they do have some particular things that they want to sort of distribute to the collective, that something can be pursued in a very logical and passionate way at the same time. I think it is about the abortion, because Queen of Wands is usually, it aligns with motherhood. So they will try to figure out a way. I mean, the Trump family, they will figure out a way to address to the nation and to the world that this can be done or be managed in a way that is both scientific, logical, but at the same time, people who are passionate about this matter, they can keep the passion, but not conflicting with the scientific and logical side of things. So somehow, some ways, they will try to bring out this message. And what I can think about is, I think they actually mention about the right of abortion. They can be under, the state's power to determine whether it is, legal or not, something like that. So I think this is one of the indicators that they are trying to maneuver between the tug of war among being very passionate about the ideology and the traditional values of things, and the scientific side of things, being logical about things. By saying logical, they feel like, well, if some people feel so strongly about their rights, why forcing them to let go their rights? And if some people, they're feeling so passionately about their beliefs, why take them away? So they're trying to figure out a balance between them, which is actually very smart. But at the same time, it can also be a double-sided sword because, some people who are more black and white, they don't like this kind of, I can't stereotype. I try not to. I apologize if if I did that unintentionally, but I have to say that there is, but I strongly feel like there are people who find it difficult to, to go in between. But at the same time, I would say these can be the upside because this creates the flexibility among people. So different people can have their boundaries to, to operate in their according to their will. So it's not totally a bad thing, but in generally that there will be some kind of conflicts about the, as I said, the element of being passionate, but at the same time scientific. So at the end, Nine of Pentacles in the 12th house, as I mentioned before, the 12th house is about endings, and also it is also about something that is unknown. They might have money gains from places that we don't know, and it is being hidden. So I do believe that there are a lot of finances that are not being revealed, but they are intensely dealing with, especially in the year of 2024. So I think this is, and I have to say, when the sixth house is the moon card, moon card is also about subconscious. So when subconscious, we are talking about the unknown. There might be medical procedures that are involving in a large sum of money, but we're not gonna know about it. But in general, I would say financially, it's gonna be a fluctuating year for the Trump family, and it's gonna be affecting their well-being. And overall, their expression to the outer world will be kind of sometimes, fluctuate from A to B, and this time it's kind of can be difficult for some people who are very passionate and very black and white, right or wrong, black and white. They have to find a way to interpret what the Trump family is actually talking about, because I see gray areas. Let me put it this way: gray areas. It can be both good and bad. So this is the general in-depth overview for the Trump family in the year of 2024. And I hope you enjoy this. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, please leave that below. If you like this type of videos, please consider subscribing to the channel. And no matter what, let's respect everybody and let's be in harmony and try our best to treat each other fairly without being pressured by, political sentiments. Thank you for your patience, and I appreciate your patience in watching this video. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.